I'm PA, so I'll come back there. Wait, but I need to find the affirmation again. And
Oh,
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Davis and beyond. We're soon to have a new name, and we'll get that finalized shortly. But anyway, I'm just so excited to see you all here and see your lovely faces on this beautiful day. And it hit me that this week is Thanksgiving week, so we're going to do a little song of mine called Attitude of Gratitude. I'm gonna change my attitude. I'm gonna work on gratitude. I'm gonna change my attitude. I'm gonna work on gratitude. I will be thankful for what I've got. I will be thankful for what I've not. I will be thankful for everything I am. And that's including my new attitude. I'm talking gratitude. Yeah, my new attitude. Gratitude. I'm gonna change my attitude. I'm gonna work on gratitude. I'm gonna change my attitude. I'm gonna work on gratitude. I will be thankful for what I've got. I will be thankful for what I'm not. I will be thankful for everything I am. And that's including my new attitude. I'm talking gratitude. Yeah, my new attitude of gratitude. I'm working on, I'm working on, I'm working on my new attitude. I'm holding on, I'm holding on, I'm holding on to my new attitude. I'm working on, I'm working on, I'm working on my new attitude. I'm holding on, I'm holding on, I'm holding on to my new gratitude. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody this week. Exciting, I'm sure, for everybody to see their families and friends. All righty. So I'd like to express a special welcome to any first-time visitors here. And if you are a first-time visitor and you want to let us know, I think we do have something for you. But we're just really happy that you're here. And this is a good time to let you know also that we have restrooms located over here to my left and also downstairs in the fellowship hall. And so now I'd like to introduce you to our practitioner of the day, the wonderful Bobby Bolden. She's going to help us let us know about what we believe and practice here at CSL Davis. Good morning, Bobby.
Billy. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh, this is a beautiful day, isn't it? All right. So I'd like to tell you what we believe. We believe, first of all, that love is all there is. So no matter what you're thinking or no matter what's happening in your life, it's all love. It might seem a little crappy right now, but it is truly love. Number two, we believe that all thought is creative and influential. So everything that you think, you're creating something. So if you think a good thought, guess what? You're creating good things. If you think creating a so-called not so nice thought, you're still creating. So pay attention to what you're thinking, and you can change your thoughts at any time. Number three, we believe that you are whole, perfect, and complete, just as you are. No matter mistakes of the past, illness, anything, you are whole, you are perfect, you are complete, just as you are. And last of all, we believe in a world that works for everyone. Now, we're not trying to get to that world. We know that that world works for everyone, and we're working from that idea. As long as we keep that idea in our minds and in our hearts and our thoughts, that world will come forth and manifest for us. All right, so now I'm going to tell us about our vision and our mission statement. So our vision, I'm going to read it once and then I'm going to ask you to repeat it after me. Our vision is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. Let's do that together. Our vision is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. And now our mission. Our mission is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. Together, the mission is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. And now for our affirmation for today. I will read it and ask you to repeat it. I am grateful for all of my journey. Together. I am grateful for all of my journey. Repeat it again. I am grateful for all of my journey. All right, so now I'd like to invite Diane Cataldi, who's our board president, and she's going to give us our announcements.
Good morning, everyone. We are glad you are here. Okay, our announcements for today are, the first one is we are getting ready and we're doing all kinds of planning for our winter cabaret. And that is going to be on December 2nd, right here. And it is starting at 7 p.m. And we are asking for a $10 love donation. And also, if you'd like to bring a toy, we are collecting gifts for the Gifts for Kids program. And the planning committee is just getting amazing performers. So, you know, if you are available that night, even if you aren't, you might find a way to become available because it's going to be a really special event.
Yeah, if I could say a couple of things.
Please do, Billy.
We had our first rehearsal, and I'm just really excited to let you know that we've got some really world-class performers going to be there that night. And tell your friends, family, this is something going to be really special. You don't want to miss out on it.
Thank you. As always, we have volunteer opportunities. We did have our board meeting last week, and everybody's invited to the board meeting. It is on Zoom, usually on Thursday nights, but last week we had it on Wednesday because of another meeting going on Thursday. But join us for the board meetings because we do vote on various directions this organization is going in, and we have discussion beforehand. And so it's really a place where you can get a lot of good information. Okay, the next thing is there is going to be a walking meditation with Jason Gerardo, and I don't know if you'd like to say a few words about that. Okay, would you want to come up? And all right, this is Jason.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Gerardo. I'm a local business owner. I have a business called One Path Coaching, and I do like life coaching, performance coaching, and hypnosis. My other passion in life is meditation and mindfulness. I've had a practice for, believe it or not, 40 years. I started off when I was a little guy. And so meditation is something that's very close to me. And I know that we do meditation here as well. It's really wonderful. To give back to the community and to get people more involved in this kind of process, I am doing a free walking meditation on Tuesday, December 6th. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it's going to be behind the community center and down by Kuda Creek, the path. And what we'll do is we'll have a little talk and I'll describe more about meditation and mindfulness. And then we'll go on an actual walking meditation. I just want to mention two things, there's two definitions that I love about that, if I may. Just real quick, so, we talk a lot about mindfulness as in kind of the scope of everyone. Right now we're talking about it in meditation, and sometimes there's some confusion about the two. Meditation is a form of mindfulness. Mindfulness is something that we can do throughout our day. We can have mindful brushing of our teeth. We could have mindful eating. We do a lot of things very on purpose and being present for that moment. So that's more of what we'll talk about there. The definitions that I love to share is mindfulness, to be present for the mystery of our lives with open eyes and a loving heart. And that really struck with me. So I used that one. And then meditation, a little more technical here, is to engage in a contemplation or reflection, to engage in mental exercise, such as concentration on one's breathing or repetition of a mantra, for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of awareness. And that's what we'll talk about during this talk. It's an hour long. We'll discuss more of that. We'll go through the process of walking meditation, and then we'll actually participate in one. And it's a lot of fun. And thank you. And it's free for the community.
Thank you. And just a reminder, that is on Tuesday, December 6th at 9 a.m. And will we be meeting here?
The key down to Pewter Creek.
Oh, down at Pewter Creek. And for more information, talk to Jason. Okay, the next big item is we have been working on a new name for CSLD. And the board had a meeting last week, as I mentioned, and we discussed our names and we came up with 3 names. And the board has come up with their favorite selection, but I spoke with David last night, Reverend David, and we're gonna back up a little bit and invite the whole membership to be a part of the final selection. So I believe Reverend David is going to be sending out an email to membership with more details on how we're gonna proceed with that. So it's really exciting, and I encourage all of you to participate in this. And if you are a member of the community, we will be having a poll where you can vote. All right. Today, our speaker, who we have had here many times before, she's a favorite of ours, is Reverend Mignonne Pollard. And I have a little bio on her, but I know you, Billy?
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just going to say that she has spoken at our center many times, and she is a licensed minister for religious science and has been a CSL practitioner for 10 years. And she graduated from Emerson Theological Institute in 2020. Wow, she's just done everything. But her big focus now is on behalf of children and young adults in California schools. She has been working with them for over 15 years. And she believes together we can create a loving, compassionate, and caring world. And I love that, because that's what we all need right now. And our guest artist is our very own Billy. And next week, our speaker will be Reverend David Clark, and our guest artist will be Amanda Craig. So be sure to join us for that also. All right, thank you.
Thanks, thank you so much, Diane. And now we move into the more contemplative portion of our service. And to start us off on that peaceful path, we have the wonderful Heather Flores, who's going to give us our sacred reading for today. Good morning, Heather.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy. And good morning. To understand that love overcomes both hate and fear is one of the chief requisites of the scientific mental practitioner. Love does not overcome hate and fear by argument or force, but by some subtle power of transformation, transmutation, and sublimation, invisible in its essence, but apparent by its act. As light overcomes the darkness, as the presence of heat causes the atmosphere of the room to change until it is warm and comfortable. So the radiant presence of love and peace dissipates fear, hate, and confusion. And that's by Ernest Holmes. It's in this Living the Science of Mind, page 331. Thank you.
Let's now turn within for prayer. I invite you to sit comfortably in your seats, and if you so choose, gently close your eyes. Turn within to that space that's where your heart is. So as I turn within this morning, I first speak a word of gratitude. I am just so grateful. Grateful for the air that I breathe. I'm grateful for the water that I drink. I'm grateful for the food that I taste. I'm grateful for my friends, my family, and especially on this beautiful Thanksgiving day. I'm grateful for all of the Thanksgivings I've ever had. And I say, thank you, Spirit. And so I am remembering today. I'm remembering that there is only one power, one presence, one energy, one life, one love, and this one power. And this presence is all knowing, all powerful, everywhere present. I know that this energy is moving into and around all life. It is moving into and around every animal, every tree, the ocean, the sun, the moon, every rock, every river, every ocean. Yes, this presence is here now with each one of us. It is the essence of all that is. It is the essence of everything animate and inanimate. Oh, I feel this presence right now. Each day as I see the birds feeding in my yard, I know that this presence is moving and guiding them. I know that this presence is all loving. I know that this presence operates as peace, as joy, as harmony. I know that this presence is the abundance in my life, the abundance in all life. Yes, I know that this presence is wholeness. It is health. It is all that I am and all that I ever will be. Oh, I know that this presence is moving through right now, moving through me right now. For I am an expression of the one presence. I am one with the presence. I know that the presence is moving through my body temple, from the top of my head to the tips of my toes and my fingers. It is expressing in me, in every cell of my body, in every atom, in every organ of my being. It is who I am. We are one. There is no separation. And just as there is no separation between me and the one presence that I call God, that I call Allah, that I may call the great Buddha, that I may call Jesus the Christ, I know that this presence is moving through me. And just as it moves through me, it moves through each one of you. We are all one with the one. There is no separation. There is the love of the one, the power of the one, the intelligence of the one, the peace of the one, the gratitude of the one that is with us. We are one in this world. And so as I know that we are one, I speak a word today of blessing. Oh, I just bless everything that is happening. I bless this service. I bless our senior minister, Reverend David Clark, wherever he is. I know that he is guiding us in each moment, for the guidance of Spirit is moving through him. I bless everyone who came early today. Patrick, Heather, Diane, Barry, myself, Bob, and Billy, our musician. I know that the music that is coming from Billy today is very special. It is the music that is being brought through him through the presence of God. And as it moves through him, it moves to your hearts. It allows your hearts to open and be grateful. And today I'm especially grateful for Reverend Mignonne. I know that her words will fall on loving ears. I know that her words are perfectly ordained by Spirit. I know that she is being moved to bring us the highest from her heart, from her mind, from her soul. And so I bless all who are in this service today, so that we may be lifted and uplifted and elevated to a high place of consciousness. And as we are lifted to that high place of consciousness, we take that upliftment with us out into the world. We carry it to our cities, our countries, our families, our world. And we bring this love, this peace, this joy, this harmony with us. And so with this blessing, I ask you to join me in anchoring prayer with these words: Ashe, Aho, Amen, and so it is.
Please join me in singing There Is Only Love. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When it's when I go inside and quiet my gently say, there is only love. There love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. there is only love.
Morning, CSL Davis.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure to be with you this morning, this Thanksgiving week, this time of rest and reflection. Is it okay? All right. This time of rest and reflection. This time that we're going to speak about the hero's journey. You know, this whole month you've been looking at the metaphorical and the physical location called home. And you've been taken on the hero's journey, that monomyth that we have. And I have the pleasure today to speak with you about the impact, or the possible impact, or the imprint that childhood experiences have on you and can have on you throughout your life. So when I think about the hero's journey and I think about my life, I think about the 1970s. And I'm going to tell you, especially 1975. I was special because Stephanie Mills starred on Broadway in a show called The Wiz. And when she sang about home, oh, this is the home that I wanted to go back to. So I want to share a couple of the lyrics with you. I dare not sing them, but also, don't tell me. Also, on Broadway, she actually said a few words before she sang the song. And this is what she said. She said, "When I think of home, I think of a resting place, a place where there's peace, quiet, and serenity. And that's where some of my friends have gone. Friends who have traveled with me through my wonderful experience of Oz, a journey I'll never forget." Now that's what she actually says. And then she starts the beautiful song. "When I think of home, I think of a place where there is love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall grass bend into leaning. And suddenly the raindrops, they fall and they have meaning." So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the raindrops in life. You know, that I said, that is a home I'd like to go to. And that's a home many of us would like to go to. That is that metaphorical, wonderful place that's deep inside of us that spirit can hold. But as we're thinking about Thanksgiving and we're thinking about actually traveling to our own homes, I don't know about you, but I've got about a 48-hour time limit before the love dissipates into, let's say, rambunctious discussion. So I'm going to address today childhood experiences, and mostly adverse childhood experiences, and the impact that they can have on your life today. They always say that home is a place where the heart is, but it's also a place where our hearts can get badly bruised and sometimes broken. So in speaking about adverse childhood experiences, I want to give you tools to use so that your past doesn't have to negatively impact your present today. These are tools that you can use, the experiences that you can have, and the stories you can tell yourself to heal. So the spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that we believe that the ultimate goal of life is to have complete freedom of discord in every nature. And that goal is surely to be obtained by all. Now we know that God promises peace and serenity, and sometimes home is that place where our fears are born. Your past experiences have the ability to imprint on your present, both negative and positive. And again, you can create that new story right now. Starting with this visit that's coming up, you can write your new story. However, unhealed childhood trauma can make us feel like a victim in everyday life. So I want to talk to you a little bit about a study that was done in 1975 by the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente. This was a landmark study, and it was known as Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACEs, which I think is funny that they'd say ACEs, but ACEs. So each adverse experience that you have had in your childhood, you get a point from 0 to 10 on a 10-point scale. And they say that about 80% of the population has had an adverse childhood experience. And what they do is they made a correlation between the number of adverse childhood experiences you had and your health right now and your life longevity. So what I want to do is I just want to give you a sense of some of the questions that they have. And this is from a book called What Happened to You? Conversations on Trauma, Resilience and Healing by Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. But they actually have in here the 10 questions. I'm not going to read all 10 of them, but I'll just give you a sense of what some of them are so that you can see what they're talking about when they're talking about an adverse childhood experience. So here's one question. Did a parent or an adult in your household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, humiliate you, or act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? No? That's good. But if yes, you get a 1. Here's another question. Did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or your family didn't look out for you or each other, or feel close to each other, or support each other? If the answer is yes, you get a 1. Were your parents ever separated or divorced? If you get a yes, you get a 1. Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or an alcoholic or who used drugs? You get a 1. And so it goes on. And let me just tell you a little bit about this study. The study there was really pushback due to the design of the study because the questionnaire was given to predominantly white middle-class sample, and people challenged that it would be applicable to other demographics. Another issue was the ACEs questionnaire only included 10 adversities. And I don't want to say, God knows we know there are more than 10. The 10 adversities to host a potential traumatic experience. And the most important thing, something I want to stress, is the primary misunderstanding from this study is that people confuse correlation with causation. So simply having a high ACEs score doesn't mean you will get heart disease. It merely means that your risk for heart disease goes up. And so these adverse childhood experiences, things that have happened to you, maybe they happened to you before you were 18 years old, sometimes they create this chronic flight or fight response, and they call that chronic toxic stress. So if you've experienced that, and in this study they have 3 broad categories: abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. And this includes things like physical abuse and emotional abuse. It says that when you experience these things over and over and over again, that sometimes when your nervous system gets rewired, and one symptom is an overactive adrenal glands. And Deepak Chopra in The Healing Self says that chronic toxic stress in your brain activates specific neural network called the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis. So, and what it does is it gives off all of these work in your body. And so there is an actual physiological root cause to sometimes some of these psychological and physical long-term illnesses, such as depression or lack of trust in relationships. Some people are impacted by heart disease, asthma, diabetes, high blood pressure, and scientists found that there was a link between this toxic stress and obesity and depression. But I want to say that not everyone has gone through a traumatic childhood experience. There are a few people who made it out of their original home situations, without a high trauma experience. And they've had better life outcomes in health and in wellness. And they also found that these adverse childhood experiences don't discriminate against by race. It's non-discriminatory. There's a website. If you want to find out your number, that number between 0 and 10 of your adverse childhood experiences, you can go to a website called www.numberstory.org. Easy to remember, right? Numberstory.org. And you'll know you're at the correct site when you see Dr. Nadine Burke, which is California's former Surgeon General, and Oprah Winfrey. They have a discussion at that website. Again, I want to stress, though, that you're more than your adverse childhood experience number. But this number, I feel, is a representation of home. It gives you a possibility to manifest your healing. It is a place where you can start. It is a tool that you can use there into your struggle, and you can see that connection. So this childhood imprint upon your life and your health today, it doesn't have to be a lasting impression. You can decide how to address those current physiological and psychological issues. Now, I have not read the whole book, but I was just sort of skimming through this book, and now I don't know where this young person would be on the adverse trauma scale, but they did have someone die and someone with a long-term illness. So let's just say we're going to take this case study. We're going to call the young girl Michelle. We're going to say she lives in the South Side of Chicago, and she's got pretty much a loving. She's got an older brother. She's got a loving mother and father, but her father has MS. It finally comes to MS. And so she talks about how we can take this thing we call an adverse childhood experience. And I want to show you how it can make a positive impact on your life. So in Michelle Obama's new book, The Light We Carry, I don't get any royalties. She says, I realize now that my father's disability gave me an early and important lesson about what it feels to be different. She didn't go to race. She went right there to disability. What it feels to be different. Because in her neighborhood in Chicago and Southside, sort of everybody was Black. That wasn't the issue. The issue was her father had a disability. So she says, to move through this world marked by something you can't much control, even if we weren't dwelling on it, that differentness was always there. My family carried it. We worried about things that other families didn't seem to worry about. We were watchful in ways it seemed others didn't need to be. Going out, we quietly seized up the obstacles, calculating the energy it would take for my father to cross a parking lot or to navigate through the bleachers at her older brother, at Craig's basketball games. We measured the distance and the elevation differently. We viewed sets of stairs, icy sidewalks, and high curbs differently. We assessed parks and museums and for how many benches they had, the places that you could rest a tired body. Everywhere we went, we weighed the risk. We looked for small efficiencies for my dad. We counted every step. And when one tool stopped working for him, his utility dwarfed by the strength of this disease, we'd go out and we'd find another. His cane replaced with a pair of forearm crutches. The crutches eventually replaced with a motorized cart, and then a specially equipped van that was packed with levers and hydraulics to help people make it up for what their body could no longer do. Did my father love any of these things or think they solved all his problems? Not at all. But did he need them? Yes, absolutely. That's what tools are for. They help keep us upright and balanced, better to exist with uncertainty. They help us to deal with flux, to manage when life is out of control. And they help us to continue onward, even while in discomfort, even as we live with our strands exposed. So she talked about that. And what I want to say is that, so she took this experience in her childhood, And it absolutely shaped and formed her career. If you know a little bit about her story, she became a hospital administrator because when she was navigating the hospital system in Chicago, she found that it was complicated and burdensome. She sort of approached one of the administrators and, sort of talked to them, and she was a lawyer at the time, and they were like, well, you want to do something about it. So they hired her, and she changed the systems. Adverse childhood experiences or negative childhood experiences or whatever those experiences are, they can shape you, and you can go out and you can take that experience, turn it around, and help make the world a better place. It is a part of the light that you carry within. So now let's get back to Dorothy, in the Wiz for a minute. So I told you that Dorothy in the Broadway play, she thanked her friends who traveled on the journey with her. And in many of the studies of resilience, of how do you not let these how do you not let that story of the past, you're not held by that story in the past, how do you not let that form and shape and be the story of your life? You become the victor, not the victim. How do you do that? Well, in studies of resilience, researchers have found that one of the number one factors that allows children and families to emerge through challenging times is the strength and quality of their social networks. It is the love and the support of the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, the Lion that helped Dorothy ease on down the road. So no matter what you've been through, if you've got a network of people in your corner, or even if you're a young person and you just have one caring adult, it's been shown that it can make a difference in your life. So think about the networks that are in place. I think Lynn Taggart, her last name is Taggart. Lynn says, a sacred eight. You have that sacred eight group of prayer partners, of friends, of people you can call on. Some people call it, I've heard Reverend Kevin Ross call it your 3 a.m. friends. Those people you can call in the early morning. Who are those people? Who are those people that are there, that small group of people? If you don't have that small group of people in your life right now, if you don't have that one caring adult in your life right now, it is resilience. There is someone out there that is willing to give love, is willing to share love, is willing to be there at the other end of the phone at 3 a.m. And they can help you navigate and move through that story. Now, if it's not 3 a.m., call a practitioner. Sure, they appreciate that. Call them at 3 a.m. But they can also help you rewrite and change that story of whatever it is that you think you're carrying, whatever that thing is, whatever that message was that somebody told you that you weren't good enough, you weren't pretty enough, you weren't whatever it is enough. So in Viola Davis's, and I don't have her book here, but I do have it at home, it's called Finding Me. She talks about taking a hero's journey herself, not unlike Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, but a real life hero's journey. And that hero's journey was to become the main character, whose name is escaping me right now because I don't have it written, on How to Get Away with Murder. So, and she said that she thought that was an adventure so that she could change the image of Black women in America. Because many times, the messages she heard as a kid in central Rhode Island, is a city, was that she was ugly, she wasn't good enough, she wasn't this, she wasn't that. But she's a Juilliard trained actress. And she said she negotiated with the folks that in that show, in the first season, and it was one of the most powerful moments, that she would take off her wig, take off her makeup, take off everything and just get down to that raw person, that the truth of who you are that you see in the mirror. And she did that in the scene and she cried, the tears rolled down her face. But it's to reinforce that idea that you don't have to be this or that the beauty is within, that God created each and every beautiful being as and created all of these experiences, adverse or positive, that you've been through, so that you can shine your light in the world, so that you can come. So you're gonna look at how all of that, it was those experiences in Central Falls, Rhode Island. It's those experiences of being taunted and being called ugly and being called whatever that shaped an important conversation that Viola Davis had, and then that changed a view of women in America. And she calls that her own hero's journey. So there could be positive impact from whatever it is that you've been through in your past. Now, the next factor that I want to talk about on how we can deal with adverse trauma is to know that the universe is good, and to know that God always bends towards good. You know, Dorothy believed that she would be back home, and she knew that there was a power that was operating from inside of her that she could tap into, that no matter how bad the situation was, she knew she could get into it. She knew it eventually. She definitely knew it eventually. I know many scholars, who have explored their painful past from childhood and used it to change the world of change the world of domestic violence. I know people who have used a traumatic and unstable past to become the protectors of society, policemen. I know you might have a different idea of what a policeman is, but mainly I know people who had come from that space. That was their intention, to protect and to serve. I know those people. I know people who saw illnesses in their family, so they became doctors. So you don't have to have a traumatic experience to turn a situation around, but many people do. And we call that absolutely the wounded healer. But in order to kind of get to that wounded healer place, I think that you have to believe that the universe is generally good. So this is a week of travel. It's for many people, it's a week of travel. It's a week of where we're going to go. And I want to just share a story, just a little bit of a story about how your worldview is shaping that experience. How your worldview is shaping the experience that you're having. So this is a conversation between Dr. Perry and Oprah, and I'm going to read what Dr. Perry is telling a story about the connection between worldview and the brain and making sense of the world. So give me a moment here. So Dr. Perry, so Oprah Winfrey says to him, she says, "The humans coming to regulate me are not bad. When I need something, it will work out. People are safe and supported." That's her worldview. People are safe and supported. And Dr. Perry says, yes, that's a remarkable and powerful worldview. We need to learn that a connection with another person can be rewarding and regulating. It pulls us to engage with our teachers, our coaches, our classmates, and it usually leads to more and more positive human interactions that add to our internal catalog of experience. The brain is a meaning-making machine, always trying to make sense of the world. In our view of the world, if our view of the world is that people are good, we can anticipate good things from people. We project that expectation onto our interactions with others and thereby elicit good from them. Our internal view of the world becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We project what we expect, and that helps elicit what we expect. So here's the story. Many years ago, Dr. Perry says, I was at Chicago's O'Hare Airport in the winter on my way to an academic conference. It was snowing. All the flights were delayed. The gate area was filled with frustrated people, including an older gentleman sitting next to me. He was wearing a very expensive suit, a Rolex watch, and his frustration was clear. Each time the gate agent announced a further delay, he would mutter with fury and angrily snap his newspaper before reading some more. I was watching a tired looking young couple take turns with their daughter, a toddler, who explored around the gate for hours, exploring and touching everything she saw. At one point, when the gate agent came out and announced another delay, the man next to me burst from his seat, almost ran to the agent, and loudly demanded to see her supervisor. I'm a gold medallion traveler, and I'm people on the board. I'm doing Cleveland for a very important meeting. Oh, the whole gate fell silent as his rant continued. That poor gate agent simply looked out the window, pointed to the heavy snow falling, and said, I'm sorry, sir, we're doing our best, but we can't control the weather. The man huffed back to his seat. Now, in my working model of the world, this rude, entitled men treating people like jerks. But then I glance over and I see this little girl. Her head is cocked as if she's trying to figure out why everybody's gotten so quiet while this band's talked. Her working model of the world was that people are good. So whatever else this man might be, he must be good too. So she walked over to him and stood before him. She quickly put her sticky little fingers on his knees and smiled. He frowned and snapped the newspaper up to read in front of her face. Now my worldview was reinforced. He's mean even to little children, super jerk. The little girl paused. Then, clearly thinking that this was a game, because people are good, right? She smiled and ripped the paper down, beaming at who she thought to be her new playmate. Oh man, I thought, this is bad. But I was wrong, and she was right. And she smiled her big smile. He smiled back. Her goodness projected was contagious. She drew the best from that man, and her worldview was reinforced. For the next 30 minutes, the two of them played together as her parents looked on. He even got down on his hands and knees in that expensive suit, be damned. He gave her a horsey ride around that dirty, crowded gate. What she projected, thanks to an internalized view of the world that came from thousands of loving moments when her parents, her family, and her caregivers were present, attentive, and responsive to her in loving ways. So that belief, we can go out there, even if we've come from a bad situation, even if it's built up, we go out there and we know that the universe has our back. So sometimes sometimes there are situations like that airplane delay that cause this chronic stress to sort of beef back up inside of you. And believe it or not, it's another airplane story from the healing self, Deepak Chopra. But what he tells us is he calls it the airport solution to chronic stress, okay? So the airport solution to chronic stress. What can you do if you find yourself at your 48-hour limit at the family table? Detach yourself from the stressor. At the airport, people do this by reading a book or finding a place to be alone. I go to my room and I read my book. Detach yourself from the stressor who you love dearly. Detach yourself. Become centered. At the airport, people do this when they shut their eyes to meditate. You can become centered even before you make that trip by going with Jason on this walk, on this meditative walk. Meditation, it's Deepak. What does Deepak say? What you ask Deepak any problem, what does he say? Meditate. Anyway, I can't. So you can also remain active. At the airport, that means walking around instead of slumping in your chair and waiting. And for me, I live on a levee, so it's that walk. And then again with Jason, you got that walking and the meditation, you got it doubled, right? If you're in this chronic stress or if you're in a trigger situation, you can also seek positive outlets. And at the airport, I don't know if this is positive, that might mean shopping or getting a chair massage or going to a restaurant. And you can do those same things in your home situation. The airport solution to chronic stress: rely on an emotional support. And at the airport, we usually do this by calling a friend or family member on the phone. It's that 8, you're gonna call them. Having a conversation with somebody is meaningful. Go out, call your friends, talk about your family, come back in. And then finally, escape if you must. At the airport, if an airline's behavior gets too outrageous, it saves your psychology to reschedule and go home. Of course, it may not always be practical or affordable, but all of these things are positive adaptations as opposed to the negative ones of worry, complaining, and pessimism. And they bring our awareness into a situation where falling back on positive acceptance isn't the right answer, because beneath the "I have to put up with this" lies stress. So a canceled flight is not usually fixable by you, and it can happen anytime without warning. Therefore, it fits the 2 conditions that make stress worse: unpredictability and loss of control. So when we're feeling in an unpredictable and loss of control, we can utilize those, just getting centered, taking a moment, and not letting the past getting out of the story. Because many times, maybe that reaction that you're having to family and friends or going back might be a reaction to the past you, the old you. It may not be the new you. And I like to say simply, as Bobby said this morning, take a breath. Take a breath. So the truth is that we believe that everything is energy, and we believe that our bodies emit energy, and we have in this field of new thought leaders in a field called epigenetics. And believe it or not, the CDC defines epigenetics as the study of how your behavior and environment can cause and affect the way your genes work. Now, unlike genetic changes, epigenetic changes are reversible. They do not change your DNA sequence, but they do change how your body reads your DNA sequence. So Joe Dispenza, he teaches us how to rewire our brain. He teaches us how to tell a new story about the past. Our practitioners, they teach us how to hold the truth that we're never alone, that freedom from discord is for all, and that your past does not have to set or be the precedent for your future. So you can do that right here, and you can do that right now. You can move into having your body reread your story, reread your DNA, and we can fight that chronic stress that might come up when some of us go to that place called home, because it's not that place of serenity and peace after 48 hours. I want to end with this story. It might be from China, it might be from India. We're going to say it's from India. You may have heard it before, but I think it's something that I think you need to keep into mind. And it's the story of your perfection in your imperfections. It's a story of the cracked water pot. Do people know the story? Okay, I'm going to share it with you. I'm going for India. There was a water barrier in India. He had 2 large pots, each hung on each end of the pole, which he carried around his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and it always delivered a full portion of water at the end of a long walk from a stream up to the main house. But the cracked pot always arrived only half full. So for 2 years, this went on daily, the water bearing delivering one of the pots full of water to that main house. And of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect to the end for which it was made. But that poor cracked pot, it was ashamed of its own imperfection. And it was miserable because it was only able to accomplish half of what it was made to do, or what it believed it was made to do. 2 years of what was perceived to be a bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. And the water pot said, I'm ashamed of myself and I want to apologize to you. And the water bearer said, why? Why are you ashamed? And the pot replied, for the past 2 years, I've only been able to deliver half of my load because this crack in my side always causes water to leak out as we make our way back to the main house. Because of my flaws, you don't get your full value for your effort. The water bearer felt sorry for the old cracked pot, and in his compassion, he said, as we return to the main house, I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path. So as they went up the hill, the old cracked pot took notice of the sun warming the beautiful wildflowers on the side of the path, and it was cheered by this somewhat. By the end of the trail, it still felt bad because it had leaked out half of its load, so again it apologized to the bearer for its failure. The bearer said to the pot, did you notice that there were only flowers on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I've always known about your flaw. Every day while we walk back to the stream, you've watered those flowers. For 2 years, I have been able to pick those beautiful flowers, to decorate my table, to give to my loving partner. Without you just being the way you are, I would not have had this beauty to grace my home. So what's the moral of the story? Well, we all come with our adverse childhood experiences or not. We all come with our own flaws, whatever they are. I'm not going to say we're all crackpots, but we know in this world that nothing goes to waste, that nothing, it's that you are what you are. So leaving home from your perspective, childhood experience, it's a little bit like, so don't bless, don't curse. Bless everything. Thank everything on your journey. Thank those adverse experiences. They made you who you are. They give you the light in you. They may even light the fire so that you go into the service that you go into. It is everything. God, who you are, and used every experience to build you up into the unique and perfect person that you are today, so that you can shine your light in the world, so that you can have more compassion, so that you can give more love. So I'm just gonna, it's a little bit like Miranda Lambert has a song that says, the house that built you. And one of the verses of that says, if I thought I could touch this place or feel it, this brokenness inside of me might start healing. Out there, it's as if I'm someone else. I thought I could find myself. If I could just come in, I swear I'd leave. Won't take nothing but a memory from the house that built me. Just take the memory from the house that built you. Decide whether you want, how you're going to deal with the tools that you now have that you know have built you up to give out. We can explore our childhood experiences. We can look at them from the perspective of adults now. And on this, it is it is on this that our healing, we can write our healing in a new story. We can create a new path. We know that we're not alone and that God only wants good for us. So when you look at others, don't think what's wrong with you. Think like this book says, what happened to you? And don't let the story of your life dictate your current life's journey. Thank all who have traveled on the journey with you. And when you face the childhood experience, whether it's good or bad, well, that's home. That's your healing opportunity, manifesting it everywhere. Your healing opportunity, manifesting everywhere. And we find home. So we know, I know, as Carl Jung says, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And so now we go back to the beginning of the hero's journey, our hero's journey here on earth, back to our childhood. We faced it bravely and with a courageous heart. We faced it with love. We honor this imprint. We see its shadow. We know it for what it is, the beginning of our earthly journey. But it doesn't have to be the end. Let us take this message into prayer. I'm just acknowledging that there is one loving being that is the being that is bent, this energy that bends towards the good of all. This being that orders the step in each life's journey. Oh, it is a being that is love and loving. And I am love and loving. And each person here is love and loving. And I speak my word that the past only shapes us with love, only shapes us with inspiration, only shapes us with the gifts that we have to give. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for every step of the journey. I'm grateful for every moment past that 48 hours to navigate in peace and love with the tools that are given. Oh, thank you. Thank you, God, for this earthly family. Thank you for this learning. Thank you for this journey. And so I release this word into the law, knowing that it is done. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, everyone. Again. Decided to share a song of mine that actually deals with the journey. It's more of the journey to the innermost part of our being, our soul, finding that home inside our hearts. This is called In Between. In between the wanting and not knowing, in between believing and receiving, in between the faith and action, in between thought and emotion, in between speaking words and hearing sounds, and in between objects and all living beings. Feel the space, listen to the silence. This is the doorway to God's house, a house that you are inside of already, a house that is also already inside of you. In between understanding and forgiving, in between accepting and releasing, in between when night and day begins, in between desire and fulfillment, in between what we see and what we can't see, in between what we know and what we cannot know. Feel the space, listen to the silence. This is my doorway to God's house, a house that you are inside already, a house that is also already inside of you. Oh,
in our mission, and that is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and to live their inherent greatness. Each quarter, we share a portion of our tithe with a different local organization with similar values of our own. And this quarter, we are sharing with NAMI of Yolo County. NAMI or NAMI? NAMI is an organization of families, friends, and individuals who have been affected by mental illness. And so all of our gifts that we share with them help the organization find a way to have a better life. We've donated to NAMI a few times. Once we went to they had an art exhibit called the Sunflower Exhibit, and that was at the Art Center in Davis. So this is an organization we really love supporting. There are many ways to give of your financial donations, and you may text to give. The number is 530-322-8441. And once you type that number in, you will be prompted as to what to do next. It's really simple. You can always type in and always give that way. The other one is through PayPal. PayPal is info@csldavis@gmail.com. Or you can send a check or money order to CSL Davis, P.O. Box 1361, Davis, California, 95617. And guess what? We have the offertory plate also. You may give through just the offer. Since we're back in person again, it's really interesting that we used to forget about the offertory plate, but we have that. So I would like to ask you to enter into that sacred consciousness of divine abundance. I invite you to place your hand over your heart, symbolizing the vibrational energy of circulation, and say with me our affirmation. I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. Today, I celebrate my prosperity and my ability to share from my overflow of good. I give from the knowledge that all is well.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything. So I give thanks for all the blessings. God gives me everything. God is my source. God gives me everything. So I give thanks for all the blessings. God gives me everything. God gives me everything.
We bless and release these gifts to do their work of proclaiming the good news that all is well. As we have freely given, according to the law of circulation, it returns to us, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So we will always have more to share, more to spare. And for this, we give thanks, we let it be so, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Right.
We'd like to remind you that here we believe in the power of prayer. And if you would like the gift of prayer today, please let one of our practitioners know. The lovely Bobby is available. There's a really beautiful space over here with a sign that says prayer on it. And we're more than happy to do that with you today. And if you would like to talk to any of us here, you can reach out to any of the practitioners that we have, or to Reverend David. And so just like to remind you as well that we are going to gather for a little while after service downstairs in our beautiful fellowship hall. You know, there's always been great goodies down there, so we hope to see you down there. Please join us for that. And we encourage you to come back next week and see Reverend David and listen to the incredible Amanda Craig, and know that that service as well will be the best service ever, like today. So I'd like to finish off with our closing song, because I know that we all expect now to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. Put my faith to the test. Live life fully expressed. Yes, yes, yes. I expect to be blessed. 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 Put my faith to the test. Live life fully expressed. And yes, yes, yes. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. One more time. I expect to be blessed.
So it is with great thanksgiving that I am grateful for this day, grateful for each and every person here, grateful for this lovely service, knowing that God is with us each and every hour as we go forward into this Thanksgiving week, and that we are well and all is well until we meet again. And so it is.
So it is.
So,